Happy Wednesday. I'm Sherry.
I'm Corey. We're on week number 4 of our 6 classic malts.
He's super excited about it.
I am. I like this one. It was a terrifying drive to get there.
I like how you altered that for me. He thought it was fun.
Oh, I had a blast.
It was terrifying. I felt like my heart was in my throat. And the fact that we got there safely is all attributed to Corey's skillful driving, but it was terrifying. Anyway, so with that note, Oban is a distillery up in the West Highlands, so it's quite the trip to get there, but absolutely worth it.
Yeah, I loved it. It's a tiny little town. Mm-hmm. Very cute. Let me get this can out of the way. Show off our pretty bottle.
Mm-hmm.
So it all started back in 1793. Brothers Hugh and John moved out to the West Coast to start a brewery. That got scrapped within a year. And then they shifted to distilling, which I am quite glad they did.
Very much.
And the town actually built and grew around the distillery. 1794 is when Oban claims they started. And the town officially began in 1811. So that's kind of they owe a lot to the distillery. Where it's in its original location, has never expanded, still running just 2 stills there. So it's one of the smaller ones in Scotland. But
we went on our last trip to Scotland. We actually traveled to this little island down in Campbellton off Var, and then drove all the way up to Oban, and I think that's where
that's where they had to go shopping. That's where the big shopping center for the West is.
Yeah, so the caretakers that actually live on that island that we stayed on just outside of Campbellton. Was it Campbellton? Yeah. They drove all the way up to Oban. That's where they go if they want to get their shopping done and go to the Tesco and the, what are other shops?
Something Mart. I don't remember.
Anyways, it's the place to go if you need to get your shopping done, and it's quite the trip. But yeah, so Oban is Gaelic for little bay,
which is funny because their newest non-age statement release is Oban Little Bay. So
it's like saying Oban.
Right.
But kind of fun. So you were making notes. It's 208 steps from the sea.
Which has changed. They built it really close up, but since then they built a seawall a little further out. So thankfully they didn't have any big marketing scheme around how close they were to the sea because it's shifted over the years.
Yeah.
But do you want to pop this guy open?
Yeah, let's try it.
So the Oban's a 14-year, 43%. In American white oak barrels primarily. And as we went through the tour, they had big signs up saying smoke, salt, orange peels, and honey.
That was a tough one. Oh, I could just smell the honey the second that I opened it. That's a fun thing about Scotch. Like when you open up a bottle, pour a glass, you can smell that in a room instantly. Unlike wine, where you don't really smell that. You walk in and I can go, okay, they're pouring Oban.
Help you out on this.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll let you try some too.
Oh, score.
I'm dribbling today. Sorry, hefty pours here.
It's all right. It's the end of the night. Good kickoff to the Whiskey Wednesday. Oh man, that one.
Is that honey right away?
It just tickles the nose palate.
I feel like I get the honey notes and then orange follows pretty close right after. But it's not a heavy orange, it's more of that, like you slice an orange open and you get that spray a little bit and you can smell it in the air.
It's like a breakfast in a glass. Honey nut cheers and orange juice. I've done my 3 sniffs.
Love it.
Now I get a taste.
It's real gentle on that first sip.
I do get some saltiness.
What's the ABV on this one?
43.
I feel like once I start tasting that saltiness, I get a little bit of that pear, so less of the citrus.
Okay.
I get more of the citrus on the nose,
Yeah.
but then I get that pear. And now amazingly, after I've tasted it, as I smell it, I finally get the saltiness in the smell.
Mm-hmm. Kind of a pear, apple cider. And so much honey. So much honey. Definitely you get a little bit more smoke. Still just little bits, but compared to the prior the smoke is starting to come out a bit, which personal preference, I like it a bit more on the smoky side, so I'm excited for these next 2 weeks.
I move it around. I like the complexities in this one too. Mentions like in some of the notes a dried fig, but I'm not quite getting that. I'm not quite getting the spice as much, but I really like that combination of the light orange, the pear, the honey.
And the salt.
And the salt.
The salty,
Just
salty,
like
zesty.
top it off. Like this would be really good in a caramel. Like Oban caramels. We've had some really good cheese made with a few different scotches.
There's a Campbellton cheesemaker.
Yeah.
That will take spirits from different distilleries and make custom cheeses for them.
The Glen Scotia one, that was amazing. Yeah. This would be really good in cheese. Like a honey. I just like cheese.
Oh. 10 out of 10 would recommend for cheese.
I would also pair this with cheese. Like this would go good with a light white cheese that had just like a little bit of a bite. That would pair really well.
We've got some of that hard Parmesan and coming up after this.
I know, maybe
Cheese plate.
the last years we talked about like pairings, doing like scotch and food pairing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is there anything you guys like specifically for your pairings? At the one of the Scotch bars we've been to, they give little almonds and chocolate pieces to try, which is really convenient.
It's kind of fun when you try different foods. It can alter the flavor, just change the palate a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's always interesting to try.
I wish we had a Little Bay handy, just so we could compare. Usually they MSRP the Little Bay a lot higher, but it's one of those ones that's always on sale.
Yeah.
To make it look more enticing. I'd love to A/B those bad boys.
I know historically my taste preference is to the traditional Oban 14 than the Little Bay. I don't remember why. I feel like the Little Bay was saltier for me, but I can't quite remember.
It's a little more bitey, a little younger.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
The non-age statement does that sometimes.
Yeah. So as far as our ratings of what we think, as far as a bottle to keep in our cupboard or whatnot, this one for the longest time was partly probably because it was in the lineup of the 6 classics that really introduced us into trying more scotch and refining our palate. So we had it on hand for quite a while. Now it's like...
I forget about it.
Yeah.
I forget about the Oban. And this is going to last me another half hour. I'm just going to go sit and think about life for a while.
Read a good book.
Loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd seek this one out. There's times when you want to try something right up this alley.
Yeah, it's a really good classic. I'm really enjoying it. I feel like the last time I tried it, it just didn't stand out as much. And it's always interesting too, like what you're trying next to it and how it makes things kind of shift your preference. But this is another one I feel like it's like coming back to an old friend. And now, of course, having gone to the distillery brings back a little bit different memories.
That it does.
Fun fact, I got a Oban tote bag from there. It became my crochet bag for a while. That's kind of fun.
Oh, she brought that everywhere for a good year.
It was like my token, like I made it. Like if you go on some crazy roller coaster ride and you get a souvenir from that, that was my souvenir just to prove that I made it there and made it back. Literally, those roads were insane, Corey.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't see around the corner and like going up and down the hills and wild.
It's pretty though.
But yeah, it was beautiful.
Next time you can drive.
So that was a pretty tasty dram. We'd highly recommend it.
And with that, we'll see you next week.
Slanja.
Slanja.